Good evening. Motion to enter into public session. Motion, please. Ms. Kies and Mr. Long. All in favor? Vote is unanimous. We are into public session. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation,
under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Next, we have the GC Pride Awards.
Mr. Hill?
Good evening, Superintendent Daly and President Dr. Richards. Along with the members of the Board of Education, I'd like to welcome you to Paul Road Elementary School tonight. I'd also like to recognize and welcome my colleagues and friends and a former Paul Road mom. Nice to see you, Jill. So in trying to come up with GC Pride Awards, it's only been 22 days of school so far. So I thought about going back a few months and coming up with some folks who have been super student-centered and have been invaluable in helping us open up the building on time. And it was some days easier than others. I couldn't think of doing this without the following people. Each of whom brings something very special to Paul Road. They are teachers, they are all parents, they all care deeply about the children that they service, whether they're classroom teachers, a physical education teacher, teacher leaders, or one of the ladies who invaluably helped me run the office without a secretary for the past 6 months. So I want to thank these folks for really demonstrating the Spartan way. They represent compassion, they are professional, and they know deep down that all children can learn wherever they started this year in September when they joined us. And so it gives me great pleasure to present the following Paul Road teachers with the GC Pride Awards. And I would add, just as a postscript, 2 of these folks are Gates Child graduates. I'd like to invite Mr. Paul Adams, our building reading teacher, to the stand, Lynn Marie Schmidt, one of our 3 physical education teachers, Mr. Stephen Neathawk to the stand, Mrs. Tina Cito, proud Great Gates Child graduate, and Mrs. Anna Keller, also Gates Child graduate. Congratulations, team. It gives me great pride to present you with, but a token of our sincere gratitude for all you do for our students.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Jill Fonarola. I'm in the district. My kids went to Paul Road. Had all these great teachers here, so congratulations. It was great to see you all again. My one daughter, Amanda, graduated last year. She was the class of 2021. And I have another daughter who's a senior this year in the district. And we all know last year was such a challenging year with COVID and all the things that the senior class really missed out on. And it was, really hard. And it was a difficult year. The class missed a lot with a junior prom, marching band, parade season, a New York City trip, and the homecoming and Spirit Week. So it was really hard. But I would like to say that as a parent of the 2 students in the district, I do appreciate the dedication and commitment that Mr. Thomas Hamill has brought forth to the district as a positive role model in the school district, and all the activities that he planned for our students last year with the COVID-19 guidelines. We did a lot with the Halloween breakfast outside, snowflake mixer outside, And we were able to have a prom for these kids, and it was really great, and I appreciate very much, and so many parents of the senior class of 2021 appreciated it as well. So I'd like to have Mr. Thomas Hamill come up and receive this award.
I'm presenting a GC Pride Award to Jill Monroe. I met Jill 4 years ago on our infamous bus trip to Chicago with the band. And I can tell you that every single event that I've been at, Jill's been there behind the scenes, pitching in to volunteer. Every band event, every marching band event, she's there. So she got 2 kids in the district, as she just told you. But last year, stepping up with helping all the events that Mr. Hamill planned, Jill was right there pitching in a hand and recruiting other people to come help. She's the first person to step up when it comes to doing thank you things for the teachers. She's right there being a rally and crying for that. And last year, she set up a website, our Facebook page for the senior class parents. Very valuable because there's a lot of information, and especially in the time of COVID, where the kids weren't in school every day. Kids seemed to be confused at times because they don't pay attention to listen. And she was there just helping guide the senior parents to successful end of the year in a very patient and calm manner. So appreciate you, and you will be missed, I'm sure, in the band and all the other activities when your kids are coming. Thank you. Agenda changes?
Yes, we have changes to personnel and capital project report.
Thank you. So in the absence of Ms. Patinsky, I'll be giving board president, vice president comments. And I would actually just like to say a simple thank you to all the staff of Gates Child, to the students, to the families. The start of this year has not been the greatest. We know that we're happy and excited to have students back, but we also realize that there've been some challenges. So we just want to say thank you to the people who have made that possible, all the way down from Superintendent Daly, his cabinet staff, to the building administrators, to our students, to our families. We just simply want to say thank you. Points of interest. Ms. Coffey?
This past week, the middle school had their Meet the Staff Night. So it was a really well-run event. There were a lot of people there, a lot of parents, a lot of staff, a lot of the administration. And it took up their entire building. They had the main entryway full of different activities, service providers, and you could follow a schedule and go to your students' class and meet all their teachers. So it was just very well organized, and a lot of work and effort was put into it.
Thank you. Any, Ms. Nancy Johnson?
The high school, I attended a financial aid night with Mr. Beachy and a woman from Rockport, and she did an excellent job. So very informational.
Thank you. Ms. Kies? Busy couple weeks. I also went to the Meet the Teacher night for 7th and 8th grade, and I agree, it was very well run. The teachers just seemed so happy to have the kids back in 5 days. Attend the marching band senior night. They did 2 performances on the field for senior night. Recognize the seniors. It was nice. They got to do 2 run-throughs. It was nice to see the kids out there. They sounded great. Homecoming last week, which was fabulous. Couldn't ask for a better night for that, and the campus was really packed. It was nice to see everybody there. And I also went to a band boosters meeting, and the boys wanted to call it potluck. Thank you. Anyone else? On to report of meetings. Mr. Costello?
I attended the Monroe County School Board Association Legislative Committee meeting. We reviewed some of our position papers. These are things we give to our state and federal representatives, give them some idea where we stand, so they're going to be approved at the next meeting. One of them has had a great deal of discussion was supporting the emotional well-being of students. I think we all realize that this return to school, while welcome, has presented challenges to not only students, the parents, and the staff. So we need to impress upon our state and federal people that we're going to need we're going to need support in these areas. I think that it's one of the things that has changed the most over the last 10 years. We've gone from where teaching and learning was our primary concern. Now we're down to where social, emotional well-being of the students. Actually, because if they're not in a good place mentally, they can't go. Anything else like that. We also discussed going to Albany. Unfortunately, the state legislature is no more organized than they ever are, but they won't be even back until after the new year. So we may go in March when we finally, hopefully, get their act together for that. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. House?
I didn't go to it yet, it's tomorrow. Information exchange is tomorrow. Bavona is there presenting, which should be a nice crowd. It's really relevant information right now. If anyone's interested. Tomorrow.
Thank you. Any other reported meetings? Thank you for those. If not, we're on to visitors' comments. The Gates Charles School District Board of Education invites public comment at this time. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes or less. We ask that individuals state their name and address prior to comments and utilize the podium/microphone to address the board. Although the board will not respond directly to individual comments at this time, items brought to the attention of the board may be taken under consideration for future response or action. In order to comply with laws related to confidentiality, we ask that issues related to specific school district personnel or students be brought to the attention of the superintendent of schools privately. The board reserves the right to terminate a speaker's comments if his or her comments are in excess of 3 minutes, are repetitive, or are not appropriate for discussion in an open public forum. Ms. Tina Carney.
Thank you. Can you hear me? Good evening. My name is Tina Carney. I'm a Gates Charlie parent and advocate for struggling learners, including those who are dyslexic. My public comment tonight is 2 parts. The first is regarding the proposed public participation policy change, and the second part is a public comment from my 6th grade son regarding dyslexia. For the first part, I would like clarification about the proposed public participation policy. It doesn't seem to allow comments from non-Gates Charlie residents. It's my understanding that many teachers, staff, and administrators are not Gates Charlie residents. There are also some families who parentally place their children or child in a private school, and their IEP is managed by Gates Charlie. And additionally, there are business owners and professionals who work in Gates Charlie community but are not residents. I request you to please consider providing these valuable Gates Charlie stakeholders the opportunity to participate in public comment as I am right now. And here's my son's public comment. Hi, my name is Brennan Carney, and my mom is definitely not speaking for me right now. Okay, she kind of is. I am not here in person to talk about my specific need. My mom is subbing for me. I'm at the Rochester Children's Dyslexia Center getting tutored right now. I wanted to be here in person, but this tutoring is really helping me and I didn't want to interrupt that. So I'll get straight to the point. October is Dyslexia Awareness Month. My struggle with dyslexia is I have trouble comprehending sounds. It's the main thing we struggle with as dyslexics. I want you to put more money, time, and focus into helping our community's struggling learners. This isn't just a me thing, it's a world problem. If you act now on this, it might change lives, particularly mine, and a few other of my friends that struggle. That's about it for now. Thank you for your time. Peace.
Thank you. Next up, we have report Paul Road update.
So I wanted to share tonight how we started Paul Road as a staff, knowing what the 2 school district and board adopted professional goals were going to be. We wanted to take a look at our jobs. Paul Road employs 94 full and part-time staff members. And in terms of setting our mindset, in terms of setting our goals, I drew from one of my personal educational heroes, Dr. Rita Pearson. Dr. Rita Pearson, who passed away at only 62 years young, left a legacy of over 40 years as an educator. Her mother and her grandmother, also on her maternal side, were teachers. And her message is strong. I first saw this, actually this was shared by the previous superintendent in an administrative workshop. And to say it left a impact on all those present is an understatement. Dr. Pearson passed away in 2013. And this TED Talk came out and gained a tremendous amount of notoriety at that time. I invite you to spend a few minutes with me and hopefully get energized and moved by Dr. Pearson's message.
I have spent my entire life either at the schoolhouse, on the way to the schoolhouse, or talking about what happens in the schoolhouse. Both my parents were educators. My maternal grandparents were educators. And for the past 40 years, I've done the same thing. And so needless to say, over those years, I've had a chance to look at education reform from a lot of perspectives. Some of those reforms have been good, some of them have been not so good. And we know why kids drop out. We know why kids don't learn. It's either poverty, low attendance, negative peer influences. We know why. But one of the things that we never discuss, or we rarely discuss, is the value and importance of human connection. Relationships. James Comer says that no significant learning can occur without a significant relationship. George Washington Carver says all learning is understanding relationships. Everyone in this room has been affected by a teacher or an adult. For years, I have watched people teach. I have looked at the best and I've looked at some of the worst. A colleague said to me one time, they don't pay me to like the kids. They pay me to teach a lesson. The kids should learn it. I should teach it. They should learn it. Case closed. Well, I said to her, you know, kids don't learn from people they don't like. She said, that's just a bunch of hooey. And I said to her, well, your year is going to be long and arduous, dear. Needless to say, it was. Some people think that you can either have it in you to build a relationship or you don't. I think Stephen Covey had the right idea. He said you ought to just throw in a few simple things, like seeking first to understand as opposed to being understood. Simple things like apologize. You ever thought about that? Tell a kid you're sorry, they're in shock. I taught a lesson once on ratios. I'm not real good with math, but I was working on it. And I got back and looked at that teacher edition. I taught the whole lesson wrong. So I came back to class the next day and I said, look, guys, I need to apologize. I taught the whole lesson wrong. I'm so sorry. I said, that's okay, Miss Pearson. You were so excited. We just let you go. I have had classes that were so low, so academically deficient that I cried. I wondered, how am I going to take this group in 9 months from where they are to where they need to be? And it was difficult. It was awfully hard. How do I raise the self-esteem of a child and his academic achievement at the same time? One year I came up with a bright idea. I told all my students, you were chosen to be in my class because I am the best teacher and you are the best students. They put us all together so we could show everybody else how to do it. One of the students said, really? I
said, really? We have to show the other classes how to do it. So when we walk down the hall, people will notice us. So you can't make noise, you just have to strut. And I gave him a saying to say, I am somebody. I was somebody when I came. I'll be a better somebody when I leave. I am powerful and I am strong. I deserve the education that I get here. I have things to do, people to impress, and places to go. And they said, yeah. You say it long enough, it starts to be a part of you. And so, I gave a quiz, 20 questions. Student missed 18. I put a +2 on this paper and a big smiley face. He said, Miss Pearson, is this an F? I said, yeah. He said, then why'd you put a smiley face? I said, because you on the roll. You got 2 right, you didn't miss them all. I said, and when we review this, won't you do better? He said, yes, ma'am, I can do better. You see, -18 sucks all the life out of you. +2 said, I ain't all bad. For years, I watched my mother take the time at recess to review, go on home visits in the afternoon, buy combs and brushes and peanut butter and crackers to put in her desk drawer for kids that needed to eat, and a washcloth and some soap for the kids who didn't smell so good. See, it's hard to teach kids who stink. And kids can be cruel. And so she kept those things in her desk, and years later, after she retired, I watched some of those same kids come through and say to her, you know, Miss Walker, you made a difference in my life. You made it work for me. You made me feel like I was somebody when I knew at the bottom I wasn't. And I want you to just see what I've become. And when my mama died 2 years ago at 92, there were so many former students at her funeral. It brought tears to my eyes, not because she was gone, but because she left a legacy of relationships that could never disappear. Can we stand to have more relationships? Absolutely. Will you like all your children? Of course not. And you know your toughest kids are never absent. Never. You won't like them all, and the tough ones show up for a reason. It's the connection, it's the relationships. And while you won't like them all, the key is they can never, ever know. So teachers become great actors and great actresses, and we come to work when we don't feel like it, and we listen to policy that doesn't make sense, and we teach anyway. We teach anyway because that's what we do. Teaching and learning should bring joy. How powerful would our world be if we had kids who were not afraid to take risks, who were not afraid to think, and who had a champion? Every child deserves a champion, an adult who will never give up on them, who understands the power of connection and insists that they become the best that they can possibly be. Is this job tough? You betcha. Oh God, you betcha. But it is not impossible. We can do this. We're educators. We're born to make a difference. Thank you so much.
I want to thank you for indulging me by showing one of my favorite and most inspirational TED Talks. And I have shown it more than a couple times to the staff at Paul Road over the years. And the folks, especially who've seen it repeated times, have said that they walk away with something different every time they see it. So I'm sharing with you just a mini table tent. Place it someplace where you need a reminder of what we do, and that every single child, no matter how old they are, is watching us and draws so much inspiration and so much learning from us. So thank you for all you do. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. And next we'll move on to discussion items. The NYSBA 2021 resolution of voting delegate.
You don't mind, I come out here.
We turn the lights on?
Mr. Hennis, you turn the light on.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
The resolutions came out during the summer. Oh, thank you. And there were 25 resolutions, one bylaw amendment. And we had a meeting a couple of weeks ago on Saturday for the Area 2. So I shared that information with the board, and it's difficult to go through all 25. I don't think we want to, but there are a few which, or if somebody has any particular one they want to start with, it's fine. You know, so the resolutions, pretty much 1 through, I would say, 8, 9, 10, pretty clear. And even at the Area 2 meeting, everybody was in support of it. Not much happened there. The first time we had a discussion, it was in number 8. It had to do with remote school board meetings. And I understand the difficulty some boards have had, but this resolution basically wanted, all it said is it wanted to meet remotely and not tell anybody where we are. And so our discussion was pretty much sort of in between. I think the group said, yeah, it sort of makes sense. But to me, that makes it difficult for the public to participate. I understand some of the difficulties. So I was somewhat against it. I don't know whether anybody on the board has an opinion they want to share about that one. You know, so we'll see how it goes on the floor. The second one,
Frank.
sorry.
Sorry, this is like all of New York State, correct?
Yes.
All the different regions?
Right, just to clarify the resolutions, these are things that are approved. We give to the NYSBA, New York State School Board Association staff to develop talking papers and position papers to take to where appropriate, the state and federal representatives. So this would be something at the state level.
Thank you.
Number 9 was similar, but it sort of went into more detail about, again, changing the open meetings law to provide remote meetings as a regular practice if you wish. And again, not telling anybody where you're at, you know, because the way the law says, if you have an open meeting, and of course, when we had COVID restrictions, nobody was at our meetings. That was fine because it was a pandemic restriction. But like tonight, there's almost nobody here except for the staff. But that's not our fault. That's their choice, you know. So again, this one here, the whole committee was pretty much against. So again, the idea is to be able to use remote meeting types and do it sort of on the slide. I don't think that's what we're about. Again, I do understand some of the nastiness at some board meetings, but anybody have any? Good, okay. Number 11 dealt with having the governor provide funding. Anytime you say to the governor of New York State, provide us with more money, you know the initial reaction is no. You know, so that was the feeling there as well. But it talks about global environment. And there was nothing in this resolution about that a school district can do on its own, for the most part. You know, so the discussion was, sounds okay, it's simple enough. It's not gonna happen because we're not gonna get more money. Our fear always is that if the governor gives us more money for this, he'll take it from someplace else. You know, we had the same discussion at our law conference locally about marijuana legislation. The money's gonna go to education. Great. So what's it gonna supplant? And this is the same idea. Number 14 dealt with a law to require all staff to have the same immunizations that all the students have. Now, the discussion basically came down to, you're asking a staff member to prove they've been immunized against all childhood diseases. believe me, I have no idea where my shot card is. Now, I'm 75, so it's more understandable, but other people in the room said the same thing. My parents had it. So we thought this is gonna be a little bit difficult to do. There was some concern about, again, asking somebody to list all their vaccines rather. Right now, it's a voluntary, I believe, where the staff lets us know if they've been vaccinated or not. Now, the testing issue is different, not talking about that. So our discussion basically came down to, how are you gonna enforce this? And is this really a condition of work? If it is, it's gonna need to be negotiated. So we don't like to send this off on a wild goose chase to try to get something. So there wasn't a lot of support for that. I'm not sure what the motivation behind it was, you know, because nobody seemed to know. The resolution committee supported it, but, Carrie?
I think it's a dangerous precedent for boards to start getting involved in public health mandates. That shouldn't be where we're putting our efforts in. That should be coming from the Department of Health or whatever else that.
Right.
Not to mention that you and I have not been vaccinated for things that we had naturally as a kid that they now have vaccines for. That would be crazy to ask us to go back.
Yeah. So there wasn't a lot of support for that one. There was one bylaw amendment, which basically said that the annual business meeting shall be held in person unless the health or welfare of the participants are in jeopardy. Well, right now, the municipal board of directors already said, we're not hosting the convention in person. So they have the right to do this. So we said, you don't need this. You know, if we have a pandemic, they're gonna tell us you can't meet more than anything else. There was one that generated a lot of discussion. It was the New York State testing ensure that teachers and school employees' background checks are thorough and have psychological testing. Nobody really, wanted, well, first off, who's going to do it? That was the first question, and nobody knew the answer to that. The school district who submitted this didn't know the answer to that either, because that was some of the rebuttal to it. They sent an amendment to basically strike out delete the psychological testing. So basically, the trouble we have is when you get a situation like you had in Newark, Hilton, where this gentleman was charged with molesting children. The point is, he passed all his tests. His background checks were clean. And why is that? He never got caught. And that's the biggest fallacy in some of this testing stuff. We can test all we want, we can check all the police agencies we want, but if you've never been caught, what's the first thing a person says? Oh, it's the first time I did it. No, it's the first time you got caught. So anyhow, there wasn't much support for that. I don't know if anybody else has any questions about the remaining resolutions that were not supported. The committee itself voted pretty much, it's only 6 of us, but still voted majority not to support those. And what's going to happen on Monday, the 18th, this is a Zoom meeting. They will try to introduce 5 different late resolutions, and that takes a 2/3 vote of those attending. And this is my 15th meeting, and in 15 times, we've never moved a resolution that was late. People want to go home, or they want to just turn their computer off and off right now. So, anybody other questions? Now, there was a question Mike raised about the voting delegate. I believe I've been registered as the alternate.
Yes,
And so I don't think it would make any difference. I should be able to log in.
I just wanted to make sure everybody knew.
Yeah.
what was going on.
So that'll be, if you actually can watch the proceedings, if you're interested. Start at 4:00 on a Monday night, Monday afternoon. And I said something to the NISBA people. You expect somebody to come home from a long day at work and then sit there for 3 hours in front of their computer screen, with no human interaction. The comment about relationships, I think, is really true. One of the best parts about the annual meeting were the people you got to see year in, year out. And there are a group of us who are, some might say somewhat abnormal, but we are the voting delegate a lot. And it's the interaction, person to person, that makes the big difference, So we'll see. Anybody else have any questions or,
I appreciate the chart you shared with us, breaking things down. That was helpful.
okay, thank you.
Thank you. Policy committee update?
What we do?
You can do it. You can do it.
We had a riveting meeting. We discussed two policies, policy 3150, Board of Education volunteer policy, at the request of our volunteer coordinators and committee. And then the first read of policy 3220, public participation at board meetings.
Thank you. On to the ad hoc committee update. The ad hoc committee met. That also was a very exciting meeting.
It was.
Actually, it really was. And we are working on the next book that we will read together as a board.
It has been ordered.
And do we want to remind everybody when we should finish the book we're currently
Yep.
doing?
At our next board learning opportunity, we'll be finishing the book,
Mid-November.
mid-November. There will be a quiz. What book? That's a good sign.
It's the first book.
All right, yeah,
Yeah,
the first
yeah.
book.
I'm sorry, I thought we had another
No,
book.
no, you're good, you're good, you're
It was
good.
kind
It's the
of
one
a-
that we started.
Yeah,
yeah,
Yeah.
Switch.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And we can order new ones if some people lost them.
We can share.
That's right.
All right, thank you. Can I have a motion to approve the consensus agenda? Motion, please. Mr. Bailey, Ms. Hinchey Johnson, all in favor? Vote is unanimous. Can I have a motion, please, to approve consensus items C through H? Motion, please. Ms. Coffey, Mrs. Coffey, Mr. Long, all in favor?
Any discussion?
Oh, any discussion? Sorry.
It's okay.
No discussion? All in favor? The vote is unanimous. Ms. Parada? Nothing, right? So next, other action items, waive second reading of policy 3150.
The policy committee recommends waiving the second reading of policy 3150.
Motion, Mr. Long. And a second, Mr. Bailey. All in favor? Vote is unanimous. Waive second reading of policy 3220.
The policy committee recommends waiving the second reading of policy number 3220.
Motion, please. Mr. Moscato, Ms. Kies. All in favor? Vote is unanimous. So now we gotta go into this.
Yep.
All right, so policy 3150.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve policy 3150. Ms. Littlewood, Ms. Kies.
Any discussion?
Any discussion? No discussion? Motion, please? No, all in favor, I'm sorry. All in favor. Vote is unanimous. Motion to approve policy 3220. For Mr. Long, Mr. Bailey, any discussion? Mr. Moscato?
I think the point was made that has some validity. There are people who are engaged in this community that are not residents, and in particular, quite often staff. I'm not sure how we can amend this to account for that per se. I do understand the idea. We don't want people coming from outside the district. We have no linked to the district, basically. So I'm not sure whether it's adding something that says, I'm an employee, I own a business, or something like that. So I don't want to necessarily disenfranchise those people if they have an issue. Now, I've been at this, almost 18, 19 years, and I've never seen a store come and talk to us. And I don't think we've had many staff come because they go through their union. So I don't know if it's an issue, it's tough, but the way it says right now is they have no platform. They need to speak to us. Now, granted, I think we can all say to them, take your issue up with the superintendent, so we pay the man the big bucks for it. So, so that might be the alternative. If we get a request from a non-resident or a businessman, something like that, directly to the superintendent. So I don't know if we need to change it, but we just need to have somebody handling it that's not as dismissive as it sounds.
Good, Ms. Scott. Thank you, Ms.
I
Coffey.
also still think the thing to remember too is if something does arise, it doesn't mean we can't look at policy again, correct?
Thank you, Mrs. Coffey. Any other discussion? No. So all in favor? Vote is unanimous. Mr. Daly, superintendent's comments.
Well, we had an outstanding flu clinic at our district administration building where administration, faculty, staff, and board members were eligible. Another great thing we offer our employees to try and keep them healthy and keep our district open in person during these fun winter months. I want to address the TikTok challenge for October. During September, we had numerous incidents at both the middle school and high school with damage to bathrooms in complying with the TikTok challenge. We crafted an email that we sent out to all secondary parents, both middle school and high school, asking them to partner with us in stopping this. We had damage to soap dispensers, toilets, and doors, and then they record it and share it out. Students have been disciplined and made to pay for the damage and repairs. The disturbing one is that in October, it involves slapping a staff member as the challenge. We shared that it would not be tolerated, that if any of this does occur, we will prosecute to the full extent of the law as well as whatever we can do within the school district's code of conduct. It will not be tolerated. And that, most parents have been very supportive of this and sharing with us that they will help us put an end to this because it's absolutely ridiculous to try and disrupt the education environment this way. We're excited to announce our unified bowling team starts next week. We're very excited to compete again this winter, and it's one of our better attended events. It's wonderful to see our students compete out there together. And Dr. Irving has been a pioneer in our region and leading it and getting these events going, and is a great example of seeing an issue and finding a solution to it and getting more kids involved. So we're excited to see our unified bowling team get going again. Testing update. We began testing both students and staff last week. 0 students tested positive and 0 staff tested positive. So that was some good news. And as was mentioned earlier in the meeting, homecoming was last week, and we had a great week. It was great to see our students competing at the highest level in our sports, as well as our marching band at halftime of the big game. For those of you that were making it to the pep rally, your ears may be echoing still. It was deafening but fun. I didn't realize that humans could be hungry hippos in a contest and survive. But they did well, and the school spirit was just so evident. They had a ton of fun. They culminated with the football game victory over Churchill Chi that night, and we showed which side of Chi is truly the champions. Trophy remains in GC. And it was great to see so much support for our alumni as well out there. Once again, showing that Gates Chi is the place to be. Lastly, for tonight, we had our superintendent's conference day last Friday, where we held a first of its kind superintendent's conference day here. More than 800 staff members were invited to attend, including teachers, bus drivers, aides, administrators, cleaners, school nutrition workers, clerical support staff, mechanics, grounds crew, and more. Our day centered on our goals around equity and inclusion. And we put together a brief highlight reel that captures the essence of the day to share with you, the board.
If I focus on my dreams and not my sorrows, my triumphs today will be my testimony tomorrow.
I appreciated having time to learn creatively about tangible ways to bring culturally responsive education into the classrooms, because I know that as educators, we are here because we love students.
Today was so energizing. It was great to walk away feeling like my cup was filled, and that I have a lot to walk away with to like impact my students in a positive way.
Everyone was really willing to participate and have conversations that otherwise, especially around people and employees, it's difficult to have.
What's powerful, I think, is just knowing the students, their cultural backgrounds, and understanding them. So we have the tools to teach them so they can be successful, so they feel welcome and create a positive environment for them.
I thought Dr. Domingo did a really good job, and I learned a lot. There was one piece, and I can't remember exactly how he said it, but pretty much like if you don't ask those questions, you won't know about somebody, and that is what really struck out for me, because I think we assume kids are having certain experiences, but we don't really know unless we ask those questions. So that is the piece that really stuck out to me.
He's so interactive, and he focused on so many different points that most people wouldn't think of on their own, and it's holding all of our staff accountable for what they should be doing to help us students, and I appreciate it.
It was nice to hear and see the presentation being very upfront. As a broad spectrum of people look us in the face and say, it's your responsibility to go out and do the work. It's your responsibility to go and research and be a lifelong learner.
I loved presenting. It was awesome to be able to share the tools and support strategies that I have with my peers and to be able to hear what they're struggling with, but also to celebrate what they're seeing success with.
The staff, teachers, including bus drivers, had the chance to ask questions and hear from students about different challenges they have, difficulties learning English, and also the culture. So we created an environment for teachers and students to all can come along and ask questions and get to know them and know their challenges, and that I think it went well.
I want to say thank you guys, because it really does make a difference, because without this learning and this work that you guys are putting in, the world won't get better, and we need that. So thank you.
So as I mentioned, we had 800 plus attendees, including faculty, staff, students, and community members who serve on our district equity team. One keynote presentation by Dr. Domingo, 26 breakout presentations, 30 internal presenters, and 8 external presenters. We're still compiling the evaluation forms, but of more than 350 that we've already received feedback on, the feedback has been very positive. 95% of staff surveyed reported having expanded their awareness of culture, identity, equity, and common language. In quotations, best conference day in 20 years here. This was a professional day, as a conference day should be, with relative topics. Early feedback on our keynote presentation, 98% of the staff surveyed said the keynote presenter was engaging, amazing, an exemplar of the Spartan way. The presenter was very positive and spoke to us like we were a team working towards the same goals. Some feedback on our breakout sessions. Not what I expected. Very, very good. 1 hour is not sufficient to continue one's work. And I wish there was more time with the breakout sessions. All in all, it was a very, very positive day for our staff to further their learning and better support our students and our school community. Huge thank you to Mr. Olin, Mr. DeJong, and their team that led this initiative district-wide and really put on a day that is changing our district. It's a very positive step forward in our equity journey. That is my report, ma'am.
Thank you very much. No reason for executive session.
There is no reason for executive session at this time.
Can I have a motion to adjourn the meeting? Mr. Long and Mr. Bailey, all in favor? Vote is unanimous. We are adjourned.